Every man in life has two choices. On one hand, you have Diablo 4. Trash, bad, sad, and the developers obviously hate you. And then you have the light. Last Epoch. Good. What will you choose?
All right, moving on to some last Epoch news. The devs sent out a survey last Friday to get the community's feedback on mid-cycle balance changes. Previously, their position was to avoid fixing bugs during a patch cycle that were causing skills or items to overperform, if the fix would make those things significantly weaker. Basically, you'll have some players using these skills or items not realizing that they're bugged, and if all of a sudden they're heavily nerfed out of nowhere due to a bug fix, well, it's a bad player experience for those people, right?
Yeah, we have experienced this a ton of times in Diablo 4. This is something that you should not really do unless something is beyond broken, and even the most lukewarm of IQs can tell, yeah, this is probably not exactly working as intended, probably. Because, man, how many times have you did you play Diablo 4 at the start? Log in after a day. You know, you went to sleep, next day you log in, and what happens? Well, your character suddenly gets one shot because it turns out the devs nerfed you for no reason that you could even understand. And now the barely functioning thing that you already were doing is completely unfunctional because, well, the devs just love you that much, sweet cheeks.
However, after the survey, the devs came out and said that the community feedback was quite clear. Players do want bugs to be fixed immediately when they are causing skills and items to overperform, but they also want to be notified in advance via public forum posts anytime a bug fix or balance change, for that matter, will nerf a highly performing build. And so they did just that. This week, they plan to release 2 major bug fixes.
That's a good midsection. That is definitely what I would call a pretty decent midsection.
The Profane Veil Warlock skill was giving 10 times more ward than it was stated to be giving, so that's going to be fixed. And the Rune Master's Sanguine Runestones passive, which as an added effect makes 15% of your health regen apply as ward, was accidentally scaling with the number of points allocated when it shouldn't have been, and so that's being fixed to no longer do so. Ward was basically busted in a couple of places, so these are good changes that bring the game into a healthier state of balance. I'll also add that it's really important that all players vote in these surveys. Whenever they go out, whenever you hear that there's a survey, go vote, people. You don't want the squeaky wheels to be the people steering the direction of the game. Make your voice heard too. Just imagine.
So they have a system essentially that's like RuneScape's voting boot thing, where any change to old school RuneScape first needs to be voted by the player base. Do they want it or do they not want it? Except that 1 or 2 times they completely ignored the will of the people and just said, no. No.
In your head the average loudmouth complainer and think to yourself, is that the person that I want? The only voice going out to the devs telling them what to do. So again, patch 1.0.3 went out this week, including the bug fixes, the stash tab price reductions that we spoke about last week, which results in
I have not played Falconeer. This looks kind of interesting.
the cost of larger numbers of stash tabs basically being cut in half, which I gotta tell you is not helping my hoarding problem. But also, the single greatest change with this patch, they have reduced the frequency at which the Falconer's Falcon makes its caw sound. I love my Falconer, don't get me wrong, but the bird was driving me insane. They also got word on things that devs are working on, courtesy of Jeff.
Oh man, that's the same when in World of Warcraft you first find a guy who has macroed pet attack to everything that he clicks, and then you hear 300 trillion pet sounds of yes attacking, and oh my lord, that is so annoying. That is so bad. Oh, what a time to not be alive. Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Judd, posting in Reddit in response to a feedback thread, Judd said that they're planning to make changes to blessings such that when you unlock a blessing, you keep its highest roll, and then you can swap blessings at any time. So if you want to change to a previous blessing that you had, you don't have to rerun the entire monolith and do the boss again. This is a great change. And in response to complaints about having to run an entire dungeon every time just to craft a legendary, He said that they're open to hearing suggestions, but that they want legendary crafting to be something that is earned. So it sounds like they're not going to just remove the dungeon requirement and let you craft from in town. He also suggested that stash tab affinities will come. For those who don't know what that means, imagine that you...
I don't know what that means, but my guess would be that you place an item in your stash from your inventory, it instantaneously goes in a specific stash.
You can assign a stash tab a category of item.
And
then,
yes.
whenever you move items from your inventory into your stash, they automatically go into the relevant tab.
Nice.
So, let's say you assign a tab the idle affinity, then whenever you deposit an idle into your stash, it's gonna zoop right into the idle tab.
Dude, it's like... it's like when you did not know how to do this for Path of Exile. Man.
Without you having to find and select that tab. Great quality of life option here. Then for those who make a lot of alts, they're adding a catch-up mechanic where... Not catch-up, where you can... They're adding a catch-up mechanic where you get stability faster on alts, thus allowing you to unlock your blessings faster. They also have many updates planned for the loot filter. I can't even imagine what those are going to be since they already have the best loot filter in the genre. Altogether, great stuff. In some Diablo 4 news, we're about a week...
Well, you heard the good stuff. Now let's see the greatness of the Diablo 4 dev team as they promise you sweet, sweet nothings and lies and take you as a fool. That you are if you're still playing Diablo 4. I mean, like, what... Hey, I mean, if you like it that much, okay, but I have questions about your upbringing, okay? I want to see your family. I want to see, is it a family tree or a family circle at this point?
And a half into the launch of the Gauntlet, Diablo's leaderboard activity. Every week is a new Gauntlet, and...
Well, we already know that failed horribly. But admittedly, turns out this is already 2 weeks of the Gauntlet, if I'm not mistaken. Which is crazy hilariously funny, or is this the second week? Because I still have not complained about the reward system for the Gauntlet, because there's no way that it's not gonna be hated. Which I'm looking very forward to.
And a new opportunity to prove yourself on the leaderboards. And, well, week 1 of the Gauntlet was fraught with exploits, and it's seeming like week 2 isn't any better. There were ultimately 2 things that...
What do you expect? People are entering, by the way, which active shrines, because, you know, that's so crazy hard to think that, you know, someone would do this.
Play, one of which was fixed. First, players found a way to enter the Gauntlet without actually starting the Gauntlet, meaning you can go in, run around, kite all the enemies into ideal positions for maximum density, then you start the Gauntlet timer, and you have an incredible advantage. This was fixed, as far as I'm aware. But the next thing we're going to talk about wasn't as of the time of this recording. Shrine effects are not wiped from you.
By the way, the Gauntlet is... How did they do it? I don't understand. Is this the aesthetic of the game just being complete trash and sadness, or what is this? Because this is a relatively open space, but when I look at it, it still feels like you're in a, like, 1 pixel tight corridor where you can just move to the right or to the left. This is crazy. Why do vaults actually feel spacious, but this crap, when you look at it, just looks small?
When you start a Gauntlet. So, what do? If you spend 1 Gauntlet run collecting all the bosses together, killing them all at the very end to get a bunch of shrine buffs, just as your Gauntlet ends, then you get to start your next Gauntlet run with all of those shrine buffs. Again, an enormous advantage. Now, I do imagine this will be fixed. I'm not sure when. And I also do suspect that obvious exploiters will not be included in the Hall of the Ancients in the long run if we're to base ourselves on how they handled exploiters in Diablo 3.
So, you're telling me there's this exploit that has been in the game for forever now. The developers are not fixing it because they're stupid and they probably can't, because this sounds like something that you could fix in, you know, minutes. You're telling me that oh so mighty, powerful, and completely not inept and stupid Diablo 4 developers that all should not be fired because Rod Ferguson has not ruined multiple games already and is not a loser. You're telling me that team is gonna actually be capable of sorting through the cheaters on the leaderboard and the not cheaters, yeah, I don't buy that for a second. It's gonna be a shit show.
Now, on top of this week we also got our rewards for the Week 1 Gauntlet, and many players are underwhelmed. Overall, I'm okay with the Gauntlet not being an incredibly rewarding activity.
Wait, I want to talk. Oh, no.
It does seem that the current state of rewards, basically some random item level 925 items, is not enough to really motivate people to do this every week.
Called it. Told you. I'm always right, boys, because Diablo 4 is that poorly made.
Since you can just end up with a bunch of vendor trash. At the start of a season, those 9...
I said that this is going to happen. That the Gauntlet, since the reward is weekly, the Gauntlet's reward is going to be absolute trash. If it's Uber Uniques, it needs to be like every single Uber Unique 5 times over. Otherwise, well, what's the point of doing it? Do reals better, right? So, the Gauntlet reward cannot be Uber Uniques because that would literally never work. One content would be instantaneously dead on arrival, or Duriel would be dead on release because of the Gauntlet. Then if we're talking about just basic yellow items, then, well, that also cannot work because because from 100 yellow items that you pick up, how many are good? Probably 0, honestly. Probably 0 are actually upgrades. So, the Gauntlet would literally need to drop 20-ish Uber Uniques, which would make them instantaneously not Uber Uniques at all anymore. Or, alternatively, it needs to drop like 200 to 300 yellow items. Which is completely ridiculous. So, the Gauntlet's reward was never even close to being balanced from the beginning. It just would never work.
25s can be incredibly valuable, but we're largely past that part of the season where most players are still gearing. In Diablo 3, doing the weekly challenge rift gave you a bag of valuable resources, saving you time on having to farm those resources in activities that we didn't like doing. It was always worth doing that challenge rift, unless it was a particularly difficult week and the time required to try again until you beat it was longer than the time needed to actually farm those resources. But all that to say, I think adding some resources to the Gauntlet loot bags, I'm not sure what exactly, but just things that people find tedious to farm otherwise, I think that will be a great idea to keep these Gauntlet loot bags useful throughout an entire season and not result in bad RNG just giving a bag of garbage. Now, all of this together goes to show, once again, that even a few days of PTR would have caught a lot of this before launch. So I'm very pleased that we're getting a PTR for Season 4.
I'm not. Let's be real. What are Diablo devs gonna do in the PTR? Take into account your... Take into account your complaints about the game? Bruh, are you stupid? They're obviously not gonna do that. They have had months of doing that, but they never chose to care about anything. So, good luck. Good luck.
Speaking of, we got confirmation that the campfire chat for the massive Season 4 changes will be next week, Wednesday, March 20th at 11 a.m. PDT.
Wednesday? That's this Wednesday. Nice.
It'll cover changes to affixes, item stats, the Codex of Power, and new in-game...
The Heraldric Cube in Diablo 3 itemization, 100%. I'm putting my money on that.
Systems as well, coming in Season 4, along with our first look at the season itself. I think we're going to see what the season theme is. I've been holding out a lot of hope for this patch. The things that they're touching upon here, item affixes, right? We have the immense affix bloat, the whole damage on Tuesdays meme. It sounds like they're addressing that. Item stats, not too sure what that could mean. It's unclear what the difference between affixes and stats are, but... overall, a hard look at itemization in general. Then the Codex of Power, people have been asking for changes there. So who knows what we're going to see there? Are we going to see something where you're able to... something that's going to fix our stash bloat, having to carry all of these legendary aspects. Are they going to be stored now in the Codex of Power? We're going to find all of this out next week. Again, I've been holding out hope.
By the way, it looks like the Gauntlet is the first thing that automatically picks up this shit. I have been yelling how long that half of the reason why Helltide is shit and everyone hates it is because you need to pick up cinders on your own. And, well, same for literally everything else. Diablo, devs, you incompetent morons. Just make it so these things automatically pick up. I am so tired of it.
Hope for this patch. I hope this is going to be Diablo 4's Loot 2.0. Because Loot 2.0 is what saved Diablo 3 and really turned things around for the game. Also, Adam Fletcher confirmed
Loot 2.0 did not save Diablo 3, it actually killed Diablo 3. Diablo 3 is uncontestably a complete fucking failure. In every level, in every way. People literally play Diablo 3 on average for like 1 hour. When the new season comes out, that's it. That's how bad the game is. It's just not interesting. It holds you by the hand like you're fucking -5 years old. And, you know, it's just sad.
that all the changes will happen on day 1 of Season 4 rather than a delayed release like we saw with the Gauntlet. Stay tuned for next week. Oh, and also ray tracing is coming to Diablo 4 on March 26th for those who...
No one cares. Anyway, that was Riker. We're gonna skip the PoE news because who cares? And yeah, that was Riker. 10 out of 10. This was Quizzer Sid saying thanks for watching. Subscribe. Haven't already. Have a nice day. Bye bye.